Hey everybody, it's Miss Carrie, back to do some work with my favorite artists. Okay, so this time, out of my kit, I got some paper. It's thick paper, it's called cardstock. We need a little bit of a thicker paper here because we're gonna be doing something wet. And when water gets on paper, it kind of makes it fall apart and lets us a little bit thicker. So we're using thicker paper. If you have any watercolor paper at home, you can use that too. And then in our kit, we also got what's called an ovalate set of watercolors, which is pigment in these little plates, and they're all dry right now. We'll have to add water to them to make watercolors. And your watercolor kit comes with a little brush, and you should have also gotten some crayons, or maybe you have some crayons at home. So I also went and got from my pantry and around my house a sponge. It's just a plain clean sponge. I haven't used it all yet. I got an old cup and I put a little bit of water in it. It's got about half a cup of water so I can clean my brush and get my paints wet. And then I also got paper towels. Anytime you're doing paint, it's good to have some cleanup stuff ready. It'll also help if your paintbrush gets too wet, you can dry it off. So I've got some paper towels out ready. I put a little towel underneath my paper I'm gonna paint on just so I don't get my table too messy. And I also have some spare paintbrushes at my house. You don't have to have other paintbrushes, but if you have some, you might like to grab a different one or two so you can try different things and see how they work. So today, since we're doing watercolors, it made me start thinking about water and colors, and I started to think about things that live in the water. So, what are some things that live in the water? Well, fish is the obvious answer. So I'm gonna use my crayons first. So crayons are made out of wax. So I'm gonna use my crayons and I'm gonna draw some fish. And I'm just gonna make a real simple fish. I'm gonna make a teardrop shape on my paper. That's gonna be the body of the fish. I'm gonna draw a triangle on the end. That's gonna be the tail of the fish. You can add some more details if you want to. I think I'm gonna put another triangle on the top to be a fin. I'm gonna make a little dot, like a circle for an eye. And I'm gonna give the fish a mouth. Fish usually have kind of a sad looking mouth, right? Their mouth's turned upside down. So that's a fish, kind of a standard fish. I'm gonna color in parts of my fish and I'm gonna press as hard as I can with my crayon and really try to get that piece of paper in that section filled in inside that shape with that color. I'm gonna make his fins dandelion, just kind of a orange and yellow color. And then I'm gonna add this darker red orange and color his body in. And again, I'm trying to push real hard and really cover the paper right through here. Because when we start to paint on top of it, you'll see that it'll look different if you push really hard than if you just color lightly. So maybe we'll do some places where we color lightly and some places where we push really hard. But on this fish, I am really coloring it in. And if it doesn't look as colored all the way the first time, then I'm gonna come back over it and color a different direction on top to try to really get that filled in. So there's one fish. And when you do yours, you're gonna have a lot of time because what else are you doing? And you can maybe put in a lot of fish, or an octopus, or a crab, or a mermaid. I don't know what kind of sea creature lives in your imaginary ocean. I'm gonna draw some plants though, because there's also plants inside the ocean. To make some sea plants, I'm gonna take my crayon and draw squiggly lines up from the bottom. See that? Squiggly lines. And I'm just gonna draw a bunch of them. And I'm gonna push pretty hard on my squiggly lines. And if you wanted to, you can make some triangle shapes and put patterned stripes or lines inside those. They'll look pretty neat once we paint on top of them. If you put some stripes or lines in there. Maybe you want to add some other colors. I've got a darker green in here. Maybe I'll put some darker green stripes in some of those. Make a little pattern. All right. Let's see, what else could we do? This is a white crayon. I know it feels crazy to draw on a white crayon paper with a white crayon, but I'm gonna do it because it will be kind of like an invisible surprise. I'm gonna draw some circles coming up from the fish like bubbles. And when I draw them on the paper, you can't see them really well, but they show up a little bit. But once we paint over it, they're gonna show up really well. And then I'm gonna use the side of my crayon, lay it down flat, and I'm gonna not push as hard, and I'm just gonna put some light, scribbly lines on my paper with my white crayon. And you really don't see those very well at all right now. But when we start to paint, they'll start to show up. You can use other colors too. All right, so once I'm done with that, I'm gonna put my crayons away because I don't wanna get my crayons wet because the paper on the outside of the crayons will get kind of messy if it gets wet. So I'm gonna finish all of my crayon drawing before I get my paint out. All right, I got my crayons put away. I'm ready for my watercolor paint. Here's my paint. I'm gonna use the brush that comes inside of my watercolor paint. And here's the thing that you need to know. Watercolors need water. In fact, they need a lot of water. Probably more water than you ever thought about. And did you know that the side of your watercolor set is there so you can use it to mix colors together? You can dip your brush in some water and some paint and put it over there. And then maybe you want to add some green and make a blue-green. You can mix it in over there and start getting different colors. And for this project that we're doing, we actually want a whole lot of water. So I'm gonna either use my brush or my sponge and get that paint inside the lid over there really wet. See how it's kind of see-through and translucent? And then I'm gonna just start to paint on my paper. And right now I've got this mostly blue color. And I don't know, I think ocean water looks different sometimes. So sometimes it's kind of blue. Sometimes it's a little bit more green, so we'll put a little more green in there. And it's okay to be kind of scribbly with this paint. It's all gonna end up running together. And I'm gonna stop talking and just keep on painting for a little while. Okay, if your paintbrush is hard to hold on to because it's too skinny and it's taking too long to cover all of your paper, you can use your wet sponge and get paint on your sponge and pat it on your paper. And start to spread it around that way. You can even dip your sponge in the different colors. So I've got some green and some blue in here. I think it needs some purple. Purple's my favorite color. But your ocean water can be whatever colors you like. All right, so I'm patting it on and I'm starting to see all those white scribbles that I made. They're starting to show up in my water. Okay, so watercolor dries pretty quick unless you get it too wet. But if you get too much water in a place and you want to dry it off a little bit, you can use your paper towels for that. Hey everybody, I've got my fatter brush out now. You can use whatever brush. You can use your sponge, you can use your little brush, it doesn't matter. But I wanted to show you something in case you're new at using watercolors that you can experiment with. And that's that sometimes you want your paint to be very see-through, and sometimes you want it to be more solid and dark and bright colors. The way that you figure out whether it's gonna be dark or it's gonna be see-through is how wet it is. So over here where I've got a lot of water mixed into my paint, it's gonna be very see-through. But if I just go straight into the color over here, there's gonna be more paint on my brush and it's gonna make darker colors. And you can even paint in some of your sea plants and fish if you want in different colors. And you can see how those colors start to mix together. Your watercolors will mix together really well. So you'll start to see the blue and the green mixed together. Or if I came in and added a little bit of red over here around my fish, see how it doesn't stick where the color is, but you start to see some red around it and it'll mix with the blue behind it and make kind of a purple. See that? So you can mix colors, you can put more water on your colors and make them more see-through. You can get colors right out of your watercolor cup over here and make them darker. So here's a little bit of yellow. Yeah, and get all kinds of neat colors going in your ocean. So, all right, I've got my first part done. I think I may go back and add some more watercolor onto it. Do you see where the white bubbles are showing up? And some of the white scribbles, like the water's moving? It's pretty cool. That's called a wax resist, because the wax of the crayon makes the water not stick where the crayon goes. And you can make a beautiful ocean picture. When you get yours done, be sure you share it with us. Bye.